Alright, so in this video we're going to be looking at dividing with fractions. So when we divide with fractions, we need to actually understand what the question is asking. So for example, if you have a whole that's split into quarters, let's say, so roughly 4 even sections. So I've got a shape or a whole that is split into quarters. So what I'm going to look at in this division question is half divided by 1/4. So what that is actually saying is how many quarters fit into a half. So if we picture half of my shape, this is half of my shape. I want to know how many quarters fit into that half, and these are my quarters right here. So looking at that, I can see that there are 2 quarters that fit into my half. So my answer is 2. So think of it as a division sum. So if you were to write down 12 divided by 3, you would say how many 3s fit into 12, or how many lots of 3 are in 12, and we know that answer is 4. That's essentially what we are doing here. How many lots of 1/4 fit into half? So instead of drawing a shape every single time, let's see what the process is when we work it out on paper. So if we go back to our original question, we've got half divided by 1/4. So after we do a few questions together, we actually start seeing a pattern, and we find that the rule ends up being this sign here turns into a multiplication sign, and we find the reciprocal of this fraction. So the reciprocal means that we flip this fraction upside down. So it's spelt like so. Reciprocal. Oops, that's my A, sorry. So a reciprocal literally means that you swap these 2 numbers around. Okay, so why we do that is because going back to our previous answer, we saw that our answer was 2. So if we swap our fractions, so we had half divided by 1/4. If we follow those steps, half stays the same. That symbol changes to a times, and I'm going to swap or flip those 2 numbers around, which means I get 4/1. So when I have this now, I'm literally just doing my normal multiplication. So I simplify first. The 2 ways I can simplify are diagonally and vertically. I see that 2 goes into 2 once and 2 goes into 4 twice. Can't do anything more, so top times top, bottom times bottom. I get 2/1, which is 2, which follows back from that original question that 2 quarters over here fit into half. So let's practice a few more. So the main steps that we need to focus on is that my division symbol becomes a time symbol. The next step is we find the reciprocal. So reciprocal means to flip the fraction or turn it upside down. So we find the reciprocal of the fraction that's after the division symbol. So only that one. So let's practice that. So they're my main 2 steps. Division becomes times, and then we find the reciprocal of the fraction after the division symbol. So let's practice. Alright, let's say we have 2/3 divided by 1/4. So I am saying how many quarters fit into 2/3. So let's follow my steps. First fraction stays exactly the same. My division changes to a times, and the fraction after the division symbol, I find the reciprocal, so I flip it, which means I get 4/1. Can I simplify anything vertically or diagonally? No, I can't, so it's top times top. So 2 times 4 multiplied by denominator times denominator. Looking at that, I would get 8/3, and I can leave it as an improper fraction. Alright, let's look at a few different ones. So, for example, if I have 3 1/2 if I have 3.5 divided by 7/8. Okay, the first thing you need to do is to always change your mixed numbers into an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So my improper fraction is 7/2 because this number stays the same. I change my division to a times and I flip my fraction to become 8/7. See if I can cancel anything. I can. 7 goes into 7 once. 7 goes into 7 once. What about the other way? 2 goes into 2 once and 2 goes into 8 4 times. Top times top, bottom times bottom. I get 4/1, which is exactly the same as 4. So I'll look at one more when you've got probably a whole number in there. So let's say we have 4/5 divided by 12. So when you see a whole number, every whole number is always written over 1 because 12 divided by 1, remember this line means division, 12 divided by 1 is still 12. So you can write every whole number over 1. Alright, so let's look at how we would do this. Same steps. 4/5 stays exactly the same. This symbol changes to a multiplication and I'm flipping this fraction here so it becomes 1/12. Alright, looking at what I can cancel. Anything straight up and down? No. Diagonally? Yes. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 12 3 times. Top times top. Bottom times bottom. I am left with 1/15.